Hello, a very beautiful evening to you, and thank you for joining us. This is Atlantic Television Network, and the program is Press Roundtable. Press Roundtable is a convergence of media practitioners who dissect news and current affairs to provide the right balance. Today on Press Roundtable, we will be discussing so very many issues. Coming from Rivers State, we are going to look at how police killed gang leader who murdered Rivers CDC chairman. In Delta State, police parade a 17-year-old for faking old kidnap. In Lagos State, comes the news demolished buildings that fail integrity tests. So they're going to demolish the buildings that fail to have these integrity tests. And on demise, we have former minister Oboneonu dies. We're going to embark on a very short break. When we come back, I'm going to introduce the guests we have for this beautiful evening. Stay tuned.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only around 8 a.m.
These people into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorables,
You human
on the point of order.
Honorables, they are not picking our calls. They made up their mind.
Alright, we are glad to have you back on Press Roundtable on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Angel Mokoma, popularly called Angelic Angel. This beautiful evening, I have wonderful people here. First of all, I have Barrister Ndamze Ekulo. He's a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. Good evening, sir. You're welcome. Good to have you on the show.
Good evening.
Alright.
Good evening, viewers.
I also have Gloria Kati. She is a media practitioner, and I'm so happy that she's joining us on the show this evening. Gloria, I'm so excited to have you
My
on the
pleasure.
show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Is that right? Okay, now let's look at the stories coming from. First of all, the stories on Rivers State. Operatives of the Rivers State Police Command on Thursday announced the killing of Peter Chukwu, a notorious gang leader suspected to be behind the murder of the Community Development Committee Chairman Mbo Shimine in Obiakwa local government area of the state, Ndidi Livingstone. Livingstone, while coming out from the church, was rushed by the assailant, who later shot him in the head and stomach after he attempted to flee. The hoodlum and his men dragged the late chairman from a church he was worshipping and shot him dead in the presence of his wife and children. Now, the State Commissioner of Police, Olatunji Diso, disclosed this while briefing newsmen in Port Harcourt, the state capital, on Thursday. Diso also said that the miscreant identified as Peter Chukwu, popularly known as Daddy Chukwu, and his gang had invaded the community in a separate attack and killed 22 persons on October 9, 2017 and escaped unchallenged. This is said officers of this command gathered intelligence and operatives comprising of River State tactical teams, the intelligence response team, with the assistance of the Delta State Police Command, stormed his hideout in Ibusa, Delta State. Now, he was found hibernating in the residence of his herbalist, where he went for spiritual fortification. He put up a fierce resistance, and in an attempt to escape, he was fatally wounded, and he succumbed to the injury before arriving at the hospital. He said the suspected criminal, who had been on the wanted list of the State Police Command since October 2017, fled the state. Now, as you can see, this is stories coming from River State, how there is a notorious gang leader who murdered River CDC chairman was nabbed. Of course, you know, I'm so happy that you people are joining me right now, and I want us to look at this story, this matter right now. Personally, I want to commend the security agencies for nabbing this young man who has been terrorizing the state for a very long time. And according to the story, they say since 2017 he has been on the wanted list, but later they nabbed him where he was in a hideout, you know, trying to enable himself spiritually so that he can also carry out some other perpetrate other crimes in the state. But this time around, the River State Police Command, they are after him and say in collaboration with the Delta State Police Command, and they nabbed him, who has been on the wanted list for over a time. I want your reaction. Let me start from you, Barrister Ndamzi Ekulo. What's your reaction to this? This is River State, and this is Port Harcourt, and this happened in Obiakpo local government area. So what's your reaction on that?
Thank you, Angel. Firstly, I want to begin by saying that nobody has the right to kill another.
At all.
Yes. The young man nicknamed Daddy Chuku, who brutally murdered the CDC chairman. The action, when we heard it, I mean, I felt so bad, and I joined voices that have condemned the act. I stand to condemn that heinous crime. And we also appreciate the efforts of the Nigerian police, particularly the River State Police Command, who, you know, unreservedly has hunted down this criminal. It's worth commendable. We hail the men of the police force, because I know in some quarters, some are arguing, but he has right to life. If you look at Section 20 of the Police Act, it gives the police the authority to arrest without warrant if your offense is one of a felony or a very serious heinous offense. So police can arrest you without warrant. Okay. Then some, you know, I know colleagues who were arguing with me sometime in the afternoon about his right to life, that police shouldn't have killed him. Okay. Section 33(2)(b) of the 1999 Constitution allows the police to use reasonable force if the offense is that of a felony and it is reasonably believed that the suspect will escape. At that point, police have the right to use reasonable force. But to an extent also, the Constitution did not go down deep to explain the extent of reasonable force the police can use. So it could be also a time to call for a proper review of that section of the Constitution, because we need to properly understand the extent of reasonable force the police can use. And also, the law allows the police to use reasonable force if you are to be arrested and it is strongly believed that you will escape or you want to evade arrest. The police can use reasonable force to hunt him or her down. So we stand to say that the action of the police is lawful. They did not violate any section of the law. okay, by hunting him down and killing him. And anyway, they did the police commissioner didn't explain in details what transpired. Was there a gunfire between the suspect and the police force? I know that what could trigger police officers shooting at a suspect could be when that suspect is believed to be in possession of a very deadly weapon and may have shot at the police. At that point, the law allows the police to use reasonable force.
Now, I think I've gotten your own, you're looking at it because you're a barrister, you're looking at it legally. Now, this is my colleague here, is a journalist, is a media practitioner. She is a media practitioner. Gloria Akati, do you have anything to say about this? Listen to the stories and what can you say about this story?
Okay, very well have something to say about it, and I'm going to go with Barrister's point here, the last point he highlighted, where he talked about reasonable force. You know, it begs the question, is this a reasonable force? I mean, is this reasonable, taking somebody's life or somebody's right to life? And I believe that if there was a gun battle, it would have been reported that there was a gun battle. I mean, Nigerians, we are too smart not to leave that out, especially in critical matters like this. I mean, especially with the police force. They can, you know, report things and sometimes even exaggerate, as it were, right? So I believe that if there was a gun battle, it would have been stated. But what was stated in the report was while he was receiving spiritual fortification. So it was more like, from what I see here, it was more like an ambush on him, you know, at his weak point, right? So he was receiving spiritual fortification. I don't know how that process would have been going, but then he was shot. So I think that the police took the law into their hands. I do not see the difference between jungle justice and this that has been done, because the police have actually shown questionable character time and time again in the country, where, you know, they just shoot people anyhow, right? You can see an argument.
But now let's look at this. Where he was taking that spiritual fortification in the Havel's home.
Okay.
When the police came to apprehend him, and he was well aware, because he's dead right now, he was well aware that he has been on the wanted list of the police.
Okay.
Now, because he put up a resistance, they have to put up the gun to slow his movement. Now, the story is that it wasn't aimed at killing him, because what would the police gain from killing him? Because he's going to provide reasonable information during investigation, because he's supposed to bring out the gangs and all of those people that all of them perpetrate the crimes in the society, right? Now, it was not aimed at killing him, because he was taken later to the hospital.
Well, so how can we prove that he was not aimed at killing him?
Because it was an injury. It was an injury. He had an injury, and he was later taken to the hospital. Now, Barrister, would you say that he's been taken to the hospital? Would you say that now that it was aimed at killing him, that they just want to kill him, but they want to take away his life? And you are a lawyer, of course. You know what happens during an interrogation, during investigation. So how will they be able to arrive at a conclusion and say he is guilty or not? Because definitely he will provide a reasonable information how they operate, you know, in their ways of operations.
Good.
Would you say they killed him?
No.
Like they aimed at killing him?
I wouldn't say they aimed at killing him.
Yeah, because he was later found at the hospital.
Fine. And you can see taking him to the hospital, it's really a point to show that the police acted in good faith. Okay. Okay. And I believe that the job of every security man will be to bring in a suspect to garner more information on how to break, you know, these criminal gangs. The police will not intentionally want to kill anybody.
And that's why she said that if the police killed him intentionally, that they took the laws into their hands.
Sure, if they,
and it shouldn't be, right?
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. If the police aims at anyone and kills the person,
Okay.
that is murder, cold-blooded murder, and the police officer could be charged for first-degree murder.
Okay.
Okay. But in this case,
Okay.
considering the antecedents of the suspect, okay, it is believed that he's been on a wanted list since 2017. That is to show that he has been involved in different, heinous crimes. So him taking the life of the CDC chairman is condemnable. It is unacceptable. Because we need to put people like that away from the society so society can be in peace and harmony.
Gloria, did you just look at how he was able to drag the man, the CDC chairman? He dragged the man from the church. What an audacity!
I'm telling you.
What a temerity he had.
I'm telling you.
Do you understand? That means he's
keep
so
thinking.
emboldened.
He's been so engrossed in his criminal activities that he has no regard. Right, no reverence for life, for God. I mean, this is somebody who was worshiping. You dragged him out in the presence of his, on the second thought, one would say he deserved it, right? Seeing the heinous crimes he has committed and the number of lives that he has taken over the years. But then there is a law, right? And so the law has to be observed. While Barrister was talking, I knew he would say that. I mean, you can't say he killed him because he wasn't. He was taken to the hospital, right? It wasn't a cold-blood murder. But another school of thought, what some people would call conspiracy theory, is that what if they actually did that on purpose to make it look like they didn't intend to kill him? And so shot him at a spot where he wouldn't die immediately, but they know quite all right that if taken to the hospital, he just may not survive it. But because they don't want it to look like murder.
Okay, you're looking at it in another way.
In another
but
way.
Then because we know what investigation is all about, do you think it would be very reasonable of the police people to kill him as an... Do you understand what I mean?
Well, with the police, I don't know what is reasonable and what is not reasonable in their eyes because they've done very unreasonable things.
All
yes,
right.
Okay. We know.
Okay. Do you have just anything to say? Just because I want to go into the Delta State.
Yes, we know the police force in Nigeria. We do not have good history, good memory of the Nigerian police. Even though they tell us the police is our friend, but I still believe. When they do something right, we should commend them. Okay. Okay. In this instance, the police did not violate any law at all. Okay. Okay. Unless proven otherwise.
All right. Let's take it from there. Let's go to the stories coming from Delta State. Police parade 17-year-old for faking own kidnap. The Delta State Police Command on Thursday paraded 12 suspects for various crimes, including a 17-year-old boy named withheld anywhere, who faked his kidnap in the Abo area of the state. Parading the suspects at the police headquarters in Asaba, the state capital, the Commissioner of Police, that's the State Commissioner of Police, Aba Niwanda Olufemi, stated that the teenager had already squandered the ransom paid before being arrested. And he said on March 20, 2024, the DPO Abo Division received a complaint on the suspected kidnap of a 17-year-old boy in Okumera Quarter, Abobi. The suspect forwarded a voice note to his sister stating that he had been kidnapped and that the kidnappers were demanding 1 million naira. Then the DPO swung into action, acting on a technically generated intelligence, and arrested 3 suspects. Investigation revealed that the 17-year-old convened with his friends and faked his kidnapping. Before they were arrested, they had already collected a ransom of 700,000 naira and had squandered the money. Investigation is ongoing. Olufemi, who also lamented the rate of hard drugs on the street, said that the command is currently working in synergy with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency to address the menace in society. According to him, on April 6, 2024, presence of Eagle Nest Special Squad while on routine patrol along Asaba-Abo Expressway, Isele Asaba, flagged down a white Toyota Hiace bus driven by one Sunday AZ53. The bus and the driver were subjected to a search during which 375 bottles of CSP codeine, 44 bottles of CSC codeine, 120 sachets of tramadol, and 33 sachets of Swinol were recovered from him. While appealing to members of the public, particularly Deltans, to cooperate with the police and other security agencies in the fight against crime and criminality by providing credible information, Olufemi said that the commander had made a lot of achievements within the period under review. He now directed all divisional police officers to sustain raids that identified black spots and drug dealers and their areas of responsibility, embark on visibility patrol stop and search duty, and ensure that crime and criminality do not thrive in their area. Now, I hope that both of you really got the story right. The story of this young, 17-year-old boy who faked his own kidnapped. A young boy, 17-year-old boy who also faked his own kidnaps. Now, this is a 17-year-old boy, and are we going to say he's a minor because he's not up to 18? Now, he faked his own. Are we going to say, yes, the economy is very bad? Could it be because the economy is bad? Are we going to say it's because of hunger? Are we going to say he demanded 1 million naira and they squandered some of the money before he was apprehended? I just need your reaction on that. I want to start from you, Gloria.
Okay. I would always say this, that there is a thin line between morality and poverty.
Okay.
Or should I say the quest for riches, as it were, or the quest to come out of poverty. There is a thin line between that and morality. Now, when morality is lacking, one would be prone and very likely to do anything regardless of the situation you find yourself in. I saw the story and I laughed. It's quite hilarious as well pitiable, right? Why do I say so? I mean, this is a supposed minor, right? And trying to do something as appalling as this. But then, even before he was kidnapped, he had squandered the money. Now the question is, what did he use it to do? What did he use it to do? Secondly, what exactly were they thinking before they plotted that act? Because it's really a child's play. It's really a child's play. If you want to kidnap yourself, you want to forge a kidnap, at least try to do it well. Let the people go through stress. At least let us know that you were kidnapped, not something as cheap as this. But then I think that we've lost it in society. We've lost our morality. And that's what I want to capitalize on tonight. Morality. We have lost our morality. It doesn't matter how bad the economy gets. Where there is no morality, the people suffer. Where there is no morality, crime and insecurity prevails. Because even with the rich, you still see crime. So what's the problem? Is it hunger? Is it poverty? In every area, between the high and the low, the high and mighty, you still see crime and insecurity. You still see criminality. Why? Because we have lost touch with morality. And when I say morality, I mean the values that keep us sane in society. The values, those moral standards that we should observe, such as dignity, integrity, fear, and love for humanity, respect for one another. We don't have those things anymore.
So in other words, all we have here is moral decadence right now.
Exactly.
And it's really actually pushing these young ones to perpetrate all these crimes at this young age, because I know that if it's going to be reminded in prison, it's going to be reminded in juvenile prison. They have juvenile. Now let me come to you, Barrister Ndamzi Ekulo. What's your reaction on this? I know you must have handled this case as a lawyer, as a legal practitioner. I believe you must have seen this kind of stories. What's your reaction on this? What's your take on this? How do you see it?
Thank you. You see, let me borrow a leaf from Gloria's position.
Exactly, okay.
You know, she made mention of moral decadence in our society. Honestly, it is a fact. The quick read syndrome amongst these youths, our youths, and the younger ones is alarming. And the amount of drugs on the streets is alarming. You see youths, they don't want to engage in meaningful activities like getting skills, or even those that are already in school. You hardly see, students reading. I visited a younger friend of mine in one of the universities sometime. Then when we were in school, you could get to campus at about 7 p.m. upwards. You see students reading and all that, but that is lacking now in our various campuses. So the society, the level of decadence is alarming. Then looking at the position of the law, because we need to look at the implication of what has happened. The 17-year-old being paraded by the police force. Okay, that is very, very wrong, and the law frowns at that. Section 34 and 35 of our Constitution preserves the right of every citizen, to preserve your dignity as a person, and right not to other rights. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is Section 34 of the Constitution preserves dignity of right of a person.
Okay, now let me take it from there. If they preserve the dignity and right of a human being, looking at this story, a young boy who fakes his own kidnap, yeah, it's assumed he can also kidnap.
Of course.
Now, so does it mean that because he's a minor, is it because he's a minor he cannot be paraded?
No.
Committing a crime of someone who is an adult.
No.
So the law protects him not to be paraded by the world, not to be arraigned.
Not at all.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Let me keep the records straight.
Okay.
Okay. For the fact that he's a minor,
Okay.
wouldn't shield him from being prosecuted. Okay. He will be prosecuted, but the law does not allow this prosecuting agency to remand him in prison custody. Okay. He will serve that same jail term with the others who are adults. But the difference is he will be kept in the juvenile center till whenever he attains the age of an adult. Okay? Because he committed a crime with adults. That is to say, he has the mind of an adult. Okay? I am only looking at the parading of suspects. Okay? The courts have frowned totally about that, and the Constitution, which is the ground norm, disallows parading of suspects, because a suspect is presumed innocent until proven guilty by a competent court of jurisdiction. So parading suspects when you have not even investigated the matter to know the root cause of what transpired, it's quite unlawful. So we advise the police force to please, while we commend your efforts to unraveling and cracking down crime in the society, please do it within the ambits of the law.
Okay, then as for the young ones, or these ones too, most of them, they have this natural tendency to commit crimes, and most of them, they are just inherent in them to commit all these crimes. Do you have any advice for them, Glory? Do you have anything to say about the young ones? I know a lot of them are watching us, the parents are watching us, the guidance are watching. Do you have any just one sentence, because I want to embark on a little break right now.
Okay. Well, advice. What advice do I want to give that you haven't heard before? Well, you see, life is a personal race. And the best advice I can give to you right now is to listen to advice. Because I know that you must have been advised either by your parents or people around you, one or two persons that you look up to, or even your friends. But because of the exuberance that you exude, the dopamine and the adrenaline that is just pushing you and you want to experience. But let me tell you, the song says adulthood has come. It says come because you lived your younger life in illusion. And then when you become an adult, you begin to see the reality of life. So please, listen to the advice that you have heard, because it is foolishness to experience yourself things that you can learn by simply heeding to advice.
All right, let's take a legal advice for, thank you so very much, Gloria. And you, Barrister, do you have anything to say to them? Because I know that they don't get away with it. Now, because most of them will believe that once they commit this crime, they will get away with it. Nothing. They are just small boys, using their language like a small boy. No. What's your own little advice?
Yes, my advice to the young ones out there would be, firstly, they should stay away from drugs. They should stay away from bad company. They should embrace education and skills acquisition. With that, the society will be crime-free and the posterity will be a responsible one.
All right. Thank you so very much. And as for me, I want to advise you to please stay away from anything that could lead you to jail, anything that could lead you to take away your life and the life of other people, because it is you. Once you're apprehended, you've already taken away your own life. So desist from whatever that could put you into such troubles. All right, we want to embark on a very short break. When we come back, we're going to take up stories in Lagos State. Stay tuned.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
right, we're glad to have you back on Atlantic Television Network, and the program is Press Roundtable. Now we're moving into Lagos State. The Lagos State government on Thursday reiterated its resolve to demolish buildings that fail its integrity test. The state governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu spoke when he visited Dosumno Market on the Lagos Island, which was gutted by fire on Tuesday. No fewer than 14 buildings were gutted by fire, which resulted in the loss of goods worth millions of naira. The fire started from the penthouse of one of the buildings where a man was carelessly refueling a generator before it ignited the fire and escalated to other buildings. There were many generators in the building that further compounded the escalation, according to the Lagos and Territorial Coordinator of the National Emergency Management Authority, Ibrahim Farinloye. During his visit to the scene of the incident, Sanwo-Olu said a lot of residential apartments have been turned to warehouses. And he said, and I quote, "I am saying without any iota of doubt that more buildings will go down. I just finished the assessment of a very unfortunate but preventable disaster. Access was denied to the first responder to the fire for a couple of hours. This fire started more than 48 hours ago and is still alive. At the last count, we have about 14 houses that have been affected, and more may go down after the extensive test." The governor added that what I have seen here is what could have been prevented. We do not have a full report yet, so I do not want to speculate. From the initial report, it was gross carelessness. Sanwo-Olu added that the Domson market will be closed indefinitely, but that government would assist those to be affected. We will bring down any property that does not conform to our rules and regulations of construction. We cannot allow anyone to put the lives and property of others and the environment at risk. We will support those affected by the fire so they can get back on their feet, however. There are more progressive things we ought to be doing than to be spending scarce resources on avoidable accidents, the governor said at the site of the fire. Now, I don't know if you really got this story. The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu said he's going to demolish any buildings that failed integrity test. And of course, you know, recently what really happened in Lagos State, about 14 buildings got at fire. You know, a lot of people, and even few buildings were also down. No, and now he says that they're going to carry out the test. When anyone that failed the integrity test is going to be pulled down. Barrister, what do you have to say on this?
Thank you.
Does it make sense to you at all?
Yes, it does.
Like they are going to carry out, is it something feasible? Is it something that they can carry out, like, you know, once it's been subjected to integrity test and said, okay, this is not qualified to stand, we demolish. What's the demolition? They're supposed to rebuild. You are a legal practitioner. I just want to know.
Yes, I know in some quarters, some persons will say, but these properties are owned by Nigerians and money have been expended to construct the buildings and all that. But it is also advisable that before people embark on constructing a building, there should be necessary approvals from the government. The right materials, the quality ones, should be used in making such building. Because if you build on an unauthorized area, for example, you build on a waterway, what becomes of the building? At some point, the water will come and wash away the building. Then also, I think in the words of the governor, that the action is avoidable. I think it's avoidable in the sense that every building should own its fire extinguisher. And there should be people trained. Like, for example, in your household, someone should be trained on how to manage a fire extinguisher. It should in case there is a fire outbreak from the kitchen. But you know, we find ourselves in a society where people just have this lackadaisical attitude over everything. You know, we don't even consider our safety. Safety in this point is very, very paramount. So, and I really, you know, I buy the views of the governor in subjecting every building around to integrity test.
So what's the legal implication?
The legal implication will be that the government, if they embark on such integrity test, instead of just breaking down the building, there should be compensation.
Okay.
There should be compensation plan for those whom their building will be affected, because these buildings are owned by human beings and monies have exchanged hands in putting them together. So the government shouldn't just embark on demolition. Set up a committee, do the integrity test by checking truly did they do the proper soil testing.
Okay.
Because Lagos, considering its geographical location, for you to build in Lagos, there should be proper soil tests. Proper soil tests, the necessary permits from the authorities concerned, like the Ministry of Housing and all that. If all the documents are straight, then government will lack the locals to embark on demolishing any building.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Gloria, I don't know if this story really makes sense to you. It's coming from Lagos. That's the Lagos State Governor said, Babajide Sanwo-Olu said, any building that failed the integrity test, that the building has to go down. Because you know what's actually happening in Lagos State right now. So, as a journalist, what do you have to say on this? Is it really worth carrying out? Is it something they could do? Is it something they could achieve?
It's worth carrying out,
Okay.
because we're talking about lives and properties here. And I believe that the Nigerian government, both federal and state, can do whatever it is that they want to do, as long as they want to do it. The issue we often have with government is the willpower. As long as the willpower is there, they can do anything. And I think that it would really be a welcome development. It would be a way to go if they actually implement this. Because time and time again, we have seen buildings being collapsed. In fact, some are collapsed just in the process of building, constructing, erecting those buildings. They are not even completed, yet they are being, they're destroyed, they collapse. And it amazes me, it beats my imagination how that someone would just wake up one morning, a bungalow, for instance, to a 2-3-story building. How? Who does that? You know, and many a times they do this for lack of knowledge, right? And then sometimes some house owners or landlords can be really stubborn, you know. So I think that in order to make these stringent and really effective, I think maybe the government should begin to find engineers because the engineers should know these things. They should know the right soil for each buildings, the foundation, everything that is needed to have a solid structure. And so if an integrity test is carried out and that building fails that integrity test, I think that the engineers should be fined.
Okay.
So in that way now, they now intentionally begin to pay attention to every single material that is used to erect the building, and now also know how to distance themselves from when they notice, because, I mean, the person who contracts you for that may be the one to decide, tell you, okay, no, this is not what I want, this is what I want, this is not what I want, this is what I want. You know, some people can be that stubborn. So when you see things like that, because you know that you will be fined, you now distance yourself from that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because without you, that building cannot go on. And now when the government realizes that this building, there are no engineers involved in this building, now the owner of that building would be left to face the wrath of the law, or of the government, which is complete demolition of that building.
Okay. All right. I want to go over to another stories, but however, I know you must have listened to what is actually going on right now in Lagos State. Even if you're not just only in Lagos State, even other states could also bear a leave in what is happening in Lagos State. Because if you build a substandard house, it must go down one day. If it is not through demolition, it could be natural disaster. But these are preventable. So we want to be very careful, both the engineers and landowners, landlords, those who want to also build, they should be very, very careful because life and properties are, at stake. So we want to secure more lives. We are children of God. Now let's look at another story. Chieftains of the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) have expressed their condolences to the family and friends of the first civilian governor of Abia State, ex-governor of Abia State, Dr. Ogbonnaya Ono, an ex-minister also of Science and Technology in the administration of former President Muhammad Buhari, reportedly died in a health facility in Abuja on Thursday following a brief illness. He resigned in 2022 to join the APC presidential race. President Bola Tinubu won the party's ticket. Effort to get the reaction of the National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Felix Morka, were unsuccessful. But the death of the 72-year-old politician was confirmed in separate interviews by two members of the All Progressive Congress National Working Committee. Speaking with media crew, Deputy National Organizing Secretary of the All Progressive Congress, Nzechi Dejuru, described the late party man as deliberate and focused. Other than that, his death was a big blow to the APC. He said, I also just heard about the sad news from a credible source. Although I don't have all the details yet, we are waiting for the announcement by the family before we can make an official comment on his death. He was a gentleman, focused and very deliberate. Everything we know about his life is continuum. He has run his race and gone to his maker. We can only continue to wish for his soul to be at rest wherever he is. The National Vice Chairman Southeast of the party, Dr. Ijoma Arodiobogo, also confirmed the death of the politician who he described as a founding father of the APC. Oh yes, I just heard the news myself, he said. In fact, I am planning to go to his place, Abuja residence, in less than 1 hour, he said. Aro Diobu also confirmed that the late minister was nursing an undisclosed illness for a while before his death. He has been ill for a while and had not been seen in public circle. Boniono was a wonderful man. He was one of our best. You remember he was a presidential candidate but had to drop his ticket for Chief Olufale when the presidency was zoned to the southwest. During the merger, he was one of the founding fathers of the party and remained a party man until his death. He was a big wig of the party in the southeast. We will miss him so much, he stated. Barely an hour after the news of his death went viral, his residence in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, has become filled with the Izamo area of Ebonyi State. After the completion of his doctorate studies at the University of California, he became a lecturer in the Department of Chemical Engineering at the University of Port Harcourt, where he rose to become the pioneer head of the department. The ex-minister began his political career as an aspirant for a senatorial seat in the old Imo State under the umbrella of the National Party of Nigeria. In 1991, he contested for the position of governor of Abia State on the platform of the National Republican Convention and won. Ono was sworn in as the first executive governor of the state in January 1992. Well, this is about Ono. It is quite unfortunate. Been to his residence in Abuja. I know his wife. I know it's quite unfortunate that this is really coming in the news. But being a stakeholder, he's been a very wonderful man, not just because we have a relationship, not just because I know him personally, and just like other people. When we went to Astro Rock, we went there to, and even in his presence. But now the story has it that he has an undisclosed illness that took his life away. And remember, he contested during the presidential election before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu won the ticket, and then he pulled out. He stopped, and they say he was not seen again in the public circle because of his whatever, nobody knows. But it's now the Zima is now proved that he was not nurturing a particular illness, that took his life. Now let's look at it. I know this is going to affect the state, right? Because of his, let's just say, his intellectual prowess. He's been a very active man in the service in the All Progressive Congress of APC. Let me come to you, Barrister Ndamzi Ekulo. In a nutshell, because time is no longer on our side, we're just talking about the demise of this stakeholder. And he's been a founding father of the APC. What do you think is going to be the effects of his death in the APC?
Honestly, Ono's death is a sad one.
Yeah, very sad one.
We lend our voice in condoling with the family and the entire Southeast people. Ono is a big force. He's a factor in APC in Southeast, and one will agree that he's a strong man in Southeast politics. Yeah. He's a strong man, and it will really affect the APC in the Southeast, because the APC in the Southeast is only but grappling to put his house together, and losing a man like Ono, it will really have strong implications, and we encourage them to work harder this time, because with Ono's demise, I wonder who will
a political position, they have to take their health very serious, because something like this could happen to anyone. I don't know your reaction, Gloria. Can you say about that? Because this is death, and it can happen to just anyone.
It really can, you know, and I join my voice to say it's a very sad news, if I must. Now, what effect will it have, you know, in the APC in the state? Well, one can be quick to say that it would have a very great, you know, negative effect, as it were, seeing that he was a pillar, one of the founding fathers, and he was a man of impact. I mean, one can attest to that. But I have quite a, should I call it contrary view, or let's just say a different opinion, you know, because they say that greatness without a successor is no greatness, right? So if you died and you left a legacy, or you left a legacy rather, it then means that there are people who would carry on what you started. You lived a life that, you know, raised people and inculcated certain values that you lived with. And so when you're no more, that system can continue even without your existence.
So that's your advice now on the politicians, like those, or whether you're a politician, you're not a politician, for as long as you're occupying a very sensitive position, you really have to take in. If you cannot impact others,
exactly,
that means that greatness is not really
exactly
exactly.
Greatness should not end when you die. It should continue. Okay. So we would know how much impact he had in the state, in the party in the state, after a while of his demise.
Then what about his health? Let's just briefly look at it. Their health, those ones there, because no one knows who tomorrow. You know, when it comes to death, when it comes to health, nobody knows who is who tomorrow. Who is it? It can be the turn of anyone.